Warm welcome to all our viewers. We are so grateful to have you here with us today as we dive into the timeless wisdom of Mary Magdalene, a wisdom that has been waiting for us to rediscover. Her teachings offer us a profound reminder that spiritual enlightenment doesn't come from external authorities or rigid doctrines, but rather from within, deep in our own hearts and souls. Are you ready to embrace this ancient wisdom and let it guide you on your spiritual journey? The invitation is here for each of us to embark on a path of inner transformation. By seeking the truth within ourselves, we awaken to the spiritual authority that comes from personal experience and insight. If you're feeling inspired by this message and want to continue exploring these powerful teachings with us, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay connected to this growing community and receive more insights and guidance to support your own journey of liberation and spiritual growth. Together, let's take up this call, walking the path of transformation, and be continually inspired by the profound teachings of Mary Magdalene. The manuscript itself is part of a broader collection of writings often referred to as the Gnostic Gospels, a body of early Christian texts that were excluded from the official New Testament canon, primarily due to their divergence from Orthodox Christian beliefs. These writings, which also include the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, and the Gospel of Judas, among others, offer a radically different view of Jesus and his message, emphasizing inner knowledge, spiritual enlightenment, and often rejecting the institutional hierarchy that eventually came to dominate Christianity. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, however, stands out for its focus on Mary, a figure traditionally marginalized in the canonical texts. Unlike the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where Mary is primarily depicted as a witness to the resurrection of Jesus, the Gospel of Mary portrays her as an authoritative figure, one who possesses hidden knowledge and is entrusted with deep spiritual insights. This depiction presents a striking contrast to the more patriarchal narratives found in the canonical texts, where leadership and authority are almost exclusively the domain of men. The surviving fragments of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene come from three separate sources. The most well-preserved version is found in the Berlin Codex, which dates back to the 5th century, though scholars believe the original text was composed much earlier, perhaps in the 2nd century. These fragments reveal that Mary Magdalene held a unique position among the disciples, one that allowed her to receive private teachings from Jesus. These teachings were not shared with the other disciples, which sets up a significant point of tension in the text, as Mary's authority is later challenged by the male apostles. This narrative reflects broader debates within early Christianity about the nature of spiritual authority and who had the right to interpret Jesus' message. The importance of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene goes beyond its role in shedding light on Gnostic beliefs. It also challenges the long-standing assumptions about the early Christian movement, particularly the role of women. In the early centuries of Christianity, the role of women was often minimized or erased as the growing institutional church began to solidify its hierarchical structure. The Gospel of Mary, however, presents a counter-narrative, one in which a woman is not only included but placed at the center of the community as the one who truly understands the profound spiritual truth that Jesus imparted to his followers. The discovery of this gospel has spurred debates among scholars and theologians regarding the diversity of early Christian beliefs. It highlights the fact that early Christianity was not a monolithic movement, but rather a diverse array of interpretations of Jesus' teachings. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene offers a perspective in which spiritual knowledge, or gnosis, is paramount. In this text, salvation is not achieved through faith in the resurrection or adherence to a set of external laws, but through personal spiritual awakening and inner transformation. Mary Magdalene's role in early Christianity, as revealed through this gospel, is radically different from her portrayal in the canonical Gospels. In those texts, Mary is often relegated to a secondary role. She appears prominently in the resurrection narratives, but is rarely acknowledged as a central figure in Jesus' ministry. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, however, elevates her to a position of spiritual leadership. Here she is not merely a follower, but the one who understands Jesus' teachings on a deeper, more profound level. The text opens with Jesus imparting his final teachings to the disciples, offering wisdom on topics such as sin, the material world, and the nature of the soul. Unfortunately, a large portion of this section is missing, leaving modern readers with only a partial glimpse of Jesus' last words. What survives becomes an exploration of spiritual truths that challenge the conventional Christian understanding of sin and salvation. Jesus' teaching in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene diverges sharply from the doctrine of original sin found in mainstream Christianity. In this Gospel, Jesus tells the disciples that sin is not an inherent condition of humanity, but is brought into existence through human actions and ignorance. This idea contrasts with the traditional Christian belief that humanity is born in sin, a condition only remedied through Jesus' sacrificial death and resurrection. Instead, the Gospel of Mary offers a more psychological interpretation of sin, one that is rooted in ignorance and can be overcome through self-awareness and spiritual knowledge. After Jesus departs from the scene, the remaining disciples are left confused and afraid, unsure of how to proceed without their teacher. It is Mary Magdalene who steps forward, offering guidance and insight based on a vision she had of Jesus. This vision, which forms the central part of the Gospel, describes a spiritual journey of the soul as it ascends through various levels of existence, encountering obstacles presented by the powers of the material world. Mary's vision is deeply symbolic, drawing from Gnostic ideas about the nature of reality and the soul's liberation from the material realm. In her vision, the soul must overcome these material powers in order to reach its true divine state. This concept is central to Gnostic thought, which often portrays the material world as a place of entrapment, created by inferior spiritual beings, and sees salvation as the process of escaping this material prison through gnosis, inner knowledge and spiritual awakening. Despite the profound nature of Mary's vision, she faces opposition from the other disciples, particularly Peter, who questions her authority and the legitimacy of her vision. Peter's challenge reflects the broader tension within early Christian communities, where debates about leadership and spiritual authority were common. In the Gospel of Mary, this conflict is gendered, with Peter representing the patriarchal structure of the early church that sought to marginalize women's voices. Mary's response to Peter is significant, as it reveals her deep conviction and spiritual strength. She does not waver in the face of his doubts, asserting that her vision and knowledge are legitimate and come directly from Jesus. This conflict between Mary and Peter has been interpreted by some scholars as a reflection of the broader power struggles within early Christianity, where women's roles were often contested and diminished as the church became more institutionalized and male-dominated. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene thus raises important questions about the role of women in early Christian communities. Mary is portrayed as a visionary and leader, someone whose spiritual insights surpass those of her male counterparts. This portrayal stands in stark contrast to the canonical Gospels, where women are often marginalized or presented in a more passive role. The Gospel of Mary suggests that women played a much more significant role in the early Christian movement than has traditionally been acknowledged. The themes of sin and liberation are central to the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. In one of the most striking passages, Jesus tells the disciples that sin is not a fundamental aspect of human nature. Instead, he explains that sin arises out of ignorance, and the way to overcome it is through self-knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. This teaching aligns with a Gnostic emphasis on inner knowledge as the key to salvation, a concept that differs from the mainstream Christian focus on redemption through external acts of faith or adherence to religious laws. This theme of inner knowledge is also reflected in Mary's vision, where the soul's journey is depicted as one of self-realization. In order to attain salvation, the soul must shed its attachments to the material world and recognize its true, divine nature. This process of enlightenment and spiritual liberation is a recurring theme in Gnostic texts, where salvation is seen not as a gift granted by an external savior, but as the result of personal spiritual effort and insight. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, therefore, challenges many of the foundational ideas of Orthodox Christianity. It offers a vision of salvation that is deeply personal and inwardly focused, prioritizing individual spiritual experience over institutional authority or ritual observance. It also presents a more egalitarian view of spiritual leadership, one where women can hold positions of authority and offer unique insights into the divine mysteries. In conclusion, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene provides a rich and complex portrait of early Christian beliefs and practices, one that challenges the patriarchal and hierarchical structures that came to dominate the Church. Through its depiction of Mary Magdalene as a central figure in Jesus' ministry, this text invites readers to reconsider the role of women in early Christian communities and to explore alternative understandings of sin, salvation, and spiritual authority. The themes of inner knowledge, spiritual liberation, and gender equality make the Gospel of Mary Magdalene a valuable text for those seeking to understand the diverse and often contested landscape of early Christianity. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, though excluded from the official Christian canon, has remained a profoundly significant text, particularly in modern spiritual circles. Its message has persisted through centuries of exclusion, resonating with contemporary seekers who question traditional Christian narratives and structures. This Gospel's portrayal of Mary Magdalene as a spiritual leader, rather than a marginalized figure, fundamentally challenges the way we understand early Christianity and the role of women within it. In particular, the text invites us to consider alternative models of spiritual authority. In contrast to the hierarchical structures that dominate much of organized religion, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene offers a vision of leadership rooted in personal transformation and inner wisdom. This shift in focus from external authority to inner experience has powerful implications for modern spiritual practice. It suggests that spiritual truth is not the exclusive domain of religious institutions or clergy, but something that each individual can access through personal growth and contemplation. Today, feminist theologians and scholars are increasingly revisiting this and other apocryphal texts to recover the voices of women who were influential in early Christianity, but whose stories were suppressed or marginalized by later church authorities. Mary Magdalene's prominence in this gospel speaks to her role as not only a disciple of Jesus, but also a profound spiritual teacher in her own right. Her insights into the nature of the soul, the path to enlightenment, and the importance of inner transformation provide a counter-narrative to more institutionalized, patriarchal versions of Christian history. The renewed interest in Mary Magdalene's role is not just a matter of historical curiosity. It is deeply relevant to contemporary spiritual seekers who are disillusioned with rigid doctrines and hierarchical religious systems. For many, the Gospel's focus on personal spiritual experiences over external dogma is a breath of fresh air in an era where religious institutions are often seen as overly authoritative and out of touch with individual needs. The Gospel encourages believers to seek spiritual knowledge, not in external laws or traditions, but in the depths of their own experiences and consciousness. Furthermore, Mary Magdalene's teachings have found a home in various esoteric and New Age movements, where the emphasis on personal spiritual growth and mystical experiences resonates strongly. These modern interpretations often highlight the Gospel's themes of inner liberation and transformation, concepts that are central to many alternative spiritual paths today. The Gospel's portrayal of Mary as a figure who transcends the traditional roles assigned to women in religious texts provides a powerful symbol of spiritual empowerment for women and men alike. She becomes not just a follower, but a leader, offering insights that are as relevant now as they were in the early days of Christianity. The focus on personal transformation within the Gospel also challenges modern Christians to rethink the way they approach their faith. It calls into question the emphasis that many mainstream Christian traditions place on external rituals, doctrines, and church authorities. Instead, it encourages a more introspective approach, one that prioritizes self-knowledge and inner growth over adherence to external rules. This shift in focus aligns closely with modern psychological and spiritual practices that emphasize mindfulness, self-awareness, and personal development as key components of spiritual growth. In essence, the Gospel's message is one of liberation from both external and internal constraints. It invites readers to break free from the limitations imposed by religious institutions, societal norms, and even their own ego-driven desires. Mary Magdalene's teachings guide individuals toward an understanding that true spiritual authority comes from within and is grounded in one's direct experience of the divine. This idea stands in stark contrast to the hierarchical authority structures that dominate much of religious life, particularly in traditional Christian settings. It speaks to a deeper truth that each person carries the potential for spiritual insight and transformation within themselves. The implications of this message are profound, particularly in a world where hierarchical authority often overshadows individual spiritual experiences. Too often, religious teachings become codified into rigid systems of belief that stifle personal exploration and growth. Mary Magdalene's Gospel offers a radical alternative, calling us to embark on a journey inward, one that leads to self-knowledge, inner transformation, and ultimately, spiritual liberation. This journey is not without challenges, as it requires us to confront our own inner barriers, fears, and conditioned beliefs. However, the reward is the discovery of an inner wisdom that transcends external dogmas and provides a direct connection to the divine. In rediscovering the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, we are also encouraged to re-examine the diversity of early Christian thought. The exclusion of this text from the official canon reflects the broader process by which many early Christian writings were either suppressed or destroyed in favor of a more unified, institutionalized version of Christianity. By revisiting these alternative texts, we gain a fuller picture of the spiritual richness that characterized the early Christian movement. We are reminded that early Christianity was not a monolithic entity, but a diverse collection of beliefs, practices, and spiritual insights. In this diversity, we can find valuable lessons for our own spiritual journeys today. Mary Magdalene's Gospel challenges us to embrace a more inclusive understanding of spiritual authority, one that honors the wisdom of women and other marginalized figures whose voices have too often been silenced in religious history. Her teachings call us to listen to the quiet voice of the soul, to cultivate inner stillness, and to trust in our own capacity for spiritual insight. This is a call that resonates particularly strongly in our current era, where many people feel alienated from traditional religious institutions and are seeking more personal, authentic spiritual experiences. As modern seekers, we are invited to embrace the hidden wisdom found in texts like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. This text is not just an artifact of ancient history. It is a living document that continues to speak to us today, offering a path toward inner transformation and spiritual liberation. It invites us to reflect deeply on our own spiritual paths and to engage with its radical teachings on equality, personal empowerment, and the importance of inner experience. In a world where so much emphasis is placed on external success, achievement, and authority, Mary Magdalene's Gospel reminds us that true transformation begins within. It calls us to turn our attention inward, to explore the depths of our own consciousness, and to cultivate the wisdom that arises from this inner work. The process of inner transformation is not a solitary endeavor, but one that has the potential to ripple outward, affecting not only our own lives, but the broader world as well. The wisdom of Mary Magdalene is waiting to be rediscovered. It offers us a powerful reminder that the path to spiritual enlightenment is not found in the dogmas of religious institutions or the dictates of external authorities, but in the depths of our own hearts and souls. Are we ready to listen to this ancient wisdom and allow it to guide us on our spiritual journey? The invitation is there for all who are willing to embark on the path of inner transformation, to seek the truth within, and to embrace the spiritual authority that comes from personal experience and insight. Let us take up this call and walk the path of liberation and spiritual growth, inspired by the teachings of Mary Magdalene. As you reflect on these teachings, we invite you to stay connected and continue exploring this transformative wisdom with us. Subscribe to our channel for more insights and guidance on the spiritual path. And let's walk this journey together, inspired by the profound lessons of Mary Magdalene.